Alright, Parasolid Kernal number 2, Human CAD Laboratory, April 28, 2009. And we got this from Seal National University Computer Aided Design, and we're on Open CNAU, Open Courseware, Computer Aided Design, Lecture 15, Parasolid 2, and we'll start there. Interface Parasolid. Parasolid is accessed by the Viva, the Parasolid kernel interface to be able to manipulate object. Parasolid communicates with the operating system Viva, the frustum, and the graphical interface. You have the user application, graphical user interface, application functionality, public application program interface, Parasolid kernel, air interface, Parasolid frustum interface, graphic interface, file memory management, database, graphic subsystem device, drivers. Interface of the Parasolid. With the downward interface, your application control with the interaction between the Parasolid with the operating shift parts of the application for the deal with the referred to generally with the downward interface to cover the Parasolid itself. Makes call with the routines. Downward interface for the application must supply with them, and then you need to be registered with the Parasolid before the application can call any of the Parasolid functions. Two parts for the downward interface: the frustum and the graphic output. With the frustum interface, frustum is a pseudo function that deals with the file handling, say with the retrieve of the Parasolid part file with the other data, and memory management, allocating, freeing in the memory over the internal calculation, data structure, storage. Interface Parasolid with the graphic output interface. You must also provide with the graphic output function of the Parasolid so that it could also be called with the display models, whether by rendering them on the screen with the printing them on a plotter or with a laser printer, and Parasolid called with the graphic output function. Whenever you application Parasolid with the rendering function in order to draw one or more part of the graphic output function and encapsulate with the graphic information outside of the output by the Parasolid passes it to the graphic library that you also provide in order to render the image. You can write with the graphic library yourself, or you can use the third-party library such as Open Graphic Library with DirectX. Example application development environment of Microsoft Visual Studio 2003 or C++ .NET, Parasolid kernel version 6v16 or later operation graphic library. Loading project with the MSVC++, open the source example, the apps SNLNS. This solution is incomplete, but you'll make it complete. Example application result, and as example application has a single bullet contained with the menu toolbar reviewing area with the initial empty. Click to run Parasolid application code. Click to manipulate to display the image, and outside output of the Parasolid application code displayed here. Example application buttons of the toolbar. Example the application contained with the number of the buttons described. The exclamation mark of the Parasolid application code if you want a prototype with the call of the NCM code with the run my code, the display of the output with the call of the Parasolid function with this code is written in a series of steps using a case of the statement, single step with the complete with the output with the point is displayed with the perform the next step with the click with the, again if the code is written with one large fragment of the parts of the present with the code with the complete with the display. Then we have the code in some of the several of the different drawings. Display with the current state of the body with the Parasolid cells, shaded wireframe silhouettes, hidden line gray, hidden lines modes, and respectively. But no orphan geometry is often displayed with the wireframe mode, and then we show the directional area of the rotate, zoom, input, output pan with the respectively mouse button. The question displays version information example application, Windows layout setting, menu help, show start page, my profile. So we went to help, show start page. We went to my profile. We've now looked at the window layout and includes wildcard H file of the library files and put Parasolid kernel digital LL. Alright, integrating the MSVC+++. If you develop with the Parasolid powered application Microsoft Visual Studios C++, you need to interpret Parasolid with DLL library header files directly into your project environment. This is done with the following. As the Parasolid kernel library, object library to the MS Visual C++ environment, add the Parasolid header lines to the MS Visual C++ environment, add additional include directory, add a hashtag included with the Parasolid underscore kernel H and any source code file with a Parasolid kernel functionality. Include the Parasolid kernel DLL and either the same folder as the application and the executable file with some of the other functions of the path. Application Parasolid kernel library. Menu project example application app properties linker input additional dependency Parasolid kernel library list. Add Parasolid kernel library menu project example. The add property with the linker with the general with additional library directory. The add the path name of the directory containing the Parasolid kernel library. In this example, you should add v./library, and you're in an additional lab. We are now in additional laboratory directories. Specifically include directory, menu project example, add property with T/C++ general edition, include directories, add path name of the directory containing Parasolid _ kernel H, and examples of the \include. Additional included directories. Class structure and class view. Starting session. Register contains Go functions. Graphic output function. Initialize open graphic library. Contain rendering loops. Contain view or manipulator function. User code. Registered file from registered error handlings. And start and stop Parasolid sessions. Class structure. Example, application contains the following 7 classes. C, my code. This class is where you should add your own Parasolid with the application code. C, session class, incorporate with the code responsible to start with the top of the Parasolid with the register for Ostrom, start with the session, as well as registering error handling. C, chapter 4, example, application getting started with the Parasolid with more details. C, about DLG. This is part of the Microsoft Foundation class framework. C, example, app, the graphics out, and example, app document, example, app view. C, mainframe, the graphic output functions, helper functions, example app doc, rest example app view. See the chapter 4 example action. Application getting started with a Parasolid with more detail you can ignore. See app dig, which is code information of the dialog mainframe containing the Microsoft Foundation code class generated code. Relation between classes and functional areas. We have the Microsoft Foundation class. Classes, derived classes, the C win app, C example app creates a new session object, C view example app view with the initial opening graphic library rendering loop and contain view manipulator functions, C document example app document register containing graphic output functions, helper function, Parasolid bounded classes, C session register file frustrum register error handler, starts and stop Parasolid session. See my code. Parasolid application code is placed here. Key association class and Microsoft Foundation classes. Solution Explorer standard Microsoft Foundation class initializes and creates a new C session object register graph. The frustrum function updates parts and geometry information. Microsoft Foundation class created to initialize, update, manipulate, views, handles, windows, message, mouse, events, UI, events, file, base, frustrum function, delta function, go functions. User code, open graphic library, initialization, rendering loop, rendering, rotate, zoom, pan, register file frustrums, register error handler, start and stop Parasolid session. Class of the example application set across. The following files contain the functionality. Example app doc, example app view, mainframe, go. Open graphic library, Parasolid session, my code and frustrums. Okay, overview of the files. Example application, example app class, standard Microsoft Foundation class, create the new C session object, C session class, register frustrum, register for the error handling, starts and stops Parasolid cell, and frustrum constraints, file-based frustrum function called by Parasolid function, Parasolid kernel part transmit. We have a create example app document, example app document registers graphic frustrum in function, update with information regarding number of parts, geometry, sessions, contains graphic output functions, well with the shovel helper functions. See example application view, status application view, Microsoft Foundation class, initialize, update, manipulates, view, handles, message, mouses, events, on user interface events, Parasolid contains rendering loop, helper function, fitting of the parts view with the manipulating view, open graphic library, initialize open graphic library, key and file association. Alright, add a session object for the C example app instance for the C session class with the M_score session member available. C sessions contain functions required for starting up and stopping Parasolid. Creates a new frustrum object and register for the following frustrum functions. These are minimum frustrum functions that must be registered. Register frustrums that just created. Register the function of the Parasolid kernel with the error handler with the error handler. Error handlers can be registered or unregistered at any time in the session. Starting the session call with the Parasolid kernel start session start. Register for the graphic output functions. Graphic output function register for the C example of the application document on new document. And then you want initialize view specific information. Initialize view specific information handled with the C example of the app view constructor. Open graphic library initialize with the C app view without an initial update. Execution my code. Function of the ontest btn calls it for the C my code, run my code, execute Parasolid application code placed there, omitted. C code test initial result test run my code C++ step. Store geometry update view parts geometry and sessions extracted and stored in document and portions getting geometry and portions. Display part using open graphic language. See example of app view on draw clear screen transverse open graphic language displays the screen. Orders event after clicking. You have example of app document on test bin. Go to the run my code. Run my code goes to open test bin and extract part of the geometry session stores document goes to example application view class. On update takes part geometry document creates the display and calls remainder re-rendered transverse part list calls in Parasolid kernel topology rendered facet topology rendered line depending on the viewing mode. The test bin goes to the fit parts in view. From re-rendering the C open segments, output segments, and close this segment called the Parasolid kernel topology rendering function display data, converts data open graphic library, key and function accesses association, compile and run, build example application menu build, rebuild solution, execute the example application needed, rebuild Parasolid library file, Parasolid kernel digital library. In this case, you're going to copy the Parasolid digital DLL into the debug folder. Easiest way of developing application, simplest way to create your own Parasolid project, apply with the Parasolid example project into your directory of the chain with it according to the requirements. You can utilize its project setting, add your code, see my codes, run my code, and click run Parasolid application, output Parasolid application code display, click manipulate the display image. And this is C++ Visual Studios. To be continued. This was the end of Parasolid Kernel 2 Human-Centered CAD Laboratory, April 28, 2009.